Yeah, go live whenever.
I just did.
Oh, you just did. I didn't get the notification yet.
There you go. We are live. Oh, crap. I need to make your screen full. There we go. That works.
I didn't get a notification on this one.
Maybe it's too soon. I don't know how that works.
Probably so. Probably because it's just
Maybe
stopped.
you should ring the bell. Do you know anything about YouTubes?
I always get them.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on, folks? We are live for as a doubleheader tonight, another podcast. But yeah, we'll be jumping into recording the podcast here shortly. But definitely excited about it. Starting up the 2 weeks with the hunt update podcast episodes that we do. Some of our favorites for sure. And I know it's some of the listeners' favorites as well. So I'm going to live stream those as well for you guys to kind of get the back in the behind the scenes experience per se. So should be great.
Yep, our very first hunt update podcast. We have been waiting for this for a long time, man. Long time.
Yep.
But doesn't time go by so fast? It just goes by so fast.
For real.
It just blows my mind.
Yeah, for real. No, that's cool. But yeah, I guess before we talk about too much, we should probably just start recording. You ready whenever?
Can I show Georgie off real quick? Oh, did you just stick that on? Let me show Georgie off real quick before we start recording. There she is. She is getting big.
Big dog.
Man. Yep. Did you see those videos of her retrieving in the water?
Yeah, little stud.
Yeah, she's a little beast, a little stud girl. She's fun. All right, take her. She
Awesome.
loves her. She's fallen in love with me. She loves her dad.
That's good. I think that's probably key to everything.
Yeah, man, I'm having a blast with her.
Awesome. All right. You ready to go ahead and jump into this?
Let's do it.
All right. What's going on, folks? I'm Jordan, your host for the Duck Gun podcast, and Elliot, Freelance, Graybeard from Freelance Duck Hunting, and we're here for another podcast. And today is the start of doing the hunt updates that we do every week, and this is something we're really excited about. We did it last year, and it was one of our favorite things, one of our favorite formats for recording the podcast. Just going over our hunts from week to week and kind of sharing the story with you guys on that. So, how you doing this week, Elliot?
I'm doing pretty good, but I feel like I'm the only person that I know that doesn't have any hunt under their belt. Just me.
You might. It might be the only person left in the country who hasn't hunted. It's like you're not even a hardcore hunter.
Oh man, I scouted 3 days straight, so I had a great time. I had a lot of fun, great weekend. It just didn't involve loading the gun.
Wow. Well, I loaded the gun, so I guess I beat you there. Good thing
Yeah, I don't have any zeros. I don't have any zeros on my freelance hunt stats hunts.
Yeah.
Have you logged your hunts yet?
No, I've thought about it. I need to get on there and do it. Start out. It's very much more exciting to do it when you get something to put in there, not just the weather.
Yeah.
But
Logging zeros is there's not much energy for doing that, but it's important. It's really important, but those certainly there's no excitement in that.
yeah. So, kind of along those same lines with weather, it's starting to feel more like fall here with the weather getting cooler. It's really awesome to kind of be going into that. And my wife actually made taco soup for dinner, so it's like another fall food. So definitely getting in the feeling of fall and hunting, and it's pretty awesome.
What are the temperatures been there lately?
I mean, getting in the morning around 50, so in the afternoon it's a little warm, but I'm just I like the morning better than the afternoon, I
What do you
guess.
call a little warm? Out of curiosity, what's a little
Like
warm?
70s.
Yeah, and we've been still in the 80s, and we've. I don't think I'm not sure we've had a single night in the 50s, and I'm curious what you think on this.
Really?
Uh, yeah, we get like 63s and 64s, and those feel kind of nice, but it's a lot. A 63 is way different than a 57. It's just way different.
Hmm.
But do you feel like our theory has always been here in Kansas when we get 2 or 3 nights in the 50s, the doves kind of head out.
The Doves.
Yeah, the dove kind of split when we get a few nights in the 50s. Do you see that at all, or
I know we do get up pushes with the weather, but I guess I haven't paid a ton of attention to them. For me, dove is like kind of like something that I hunt like 2 or 3, maybe 4 times, and then that's over. So it's kind of just I guess I don't really look too much into the weather and when they pass out or pass
yeah?
through.
The weird thing is two weird thing. This is true with dove and with wood duck, and it really baffles me. It's like every year, and I'm not a big dove hunter. I used to be. We hunted dove a ton when I was growing up because my uncle was a farmer, and we always hunted them on these ponds. This one pond was just phenomenal. I mean, we just did so well there. So we hunted them a lot, and it seemed like you get a few nights in the 50s, and the dove we had would leave, but they were never replaced. But I
Mm.
know that there's dove up in Nebraska, up in South Dakota. And so I never understood. It's like, why do they just disappear? Why aren't they being refilled? Like during a waterfowl season, the blue wings leave, green wings start to show up, gadwall, widgeon, pintail, mallards. It's a progression. But with dove, it's just they're gone. It's the same thing with wood duck as well. We have a lot of them on this side of the state, late October, and then you get a front and boom, they're just gone. It's like, where are the
Yeah.
wood duck that are north of us? I've never understood it.
Yeah, that is an interesting one, for sure. I don't know if maybe there's a possibility of them possibly being more tied into the photo pattern as far as like the amount of daylight, the photo period of a day, and then that's kind of in sync with the cold front. So, that cold front is felt kind of across the country generally, and so maybe they all, when they get that cold front wherever they're at, they just so the ones that are further north just end up flying further than the ones that are local to you. They don't have as far to get down to Texas.
I guess. I mean that theory makes more sense than anything else I can think of. It always just feels like we're on the far northern end of these birds. I mean, like especially wood ducks. We have a lot of wood ducks actually nest in Kansas. They're about the only duck that does. We get a few blue-winged teal and a few mallard, but wood duck more than anything. But man, once they're gone, you'll see a few here and there, but it's just they disappear. We've got a lot of wood duck, and I don't shoot that many because they're just gone so fast. It's a head scratcher.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely can agree with you on that they kind of jump out of there. But as to why, I guess I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I'm not either. I would like to shoot more wood ducks. I shoot about. I was looking through my records at Freelance Sun Stats, and I shoot about the same number of pintail as I do wood ducks, which is like 1 or 2 a year, which is not very many for the
Yeah.
number we have. Because we've got a lot of woods on my side of the state. No,
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think they probably could be had if you put a little bit more kind of emphasis on trying to find them. But they kind of,
That's
I
true.
feel like they're in the swamps and places you're not going to necessarily find the other ducks as often. So you can find a good wood duck hole that might not hold anything else.
That's very very true. In fact, I like wood duck a lot less than most waterfowlers that I know. I appreciate their beauty, but I don't feel like for me at least, they're not very attentive to the call. They don't decoy very well, and I find them to be, I don't know. I'd much rather go after a different type of puddle duck.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely would consider them akin to rats with wings.
No, 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 no. They no.
I got to get you in a lot of trouble here.
I know I have. I'll tell you guys. I know I've made some people upset with my rats with wings comments, and let me just clarify because I've had some overly irate individuals, which I didn't. I'm sometimes I just joke around. I'm funny, and I will say that I do not like to. I mean, is Ducks and doves are not even the same hemisphere with me as far as my love for them and desire to hunt them. But, it's a little bit of tongue in cheek when I call them rats with wings. So let's not, let's just realize they're joking around and nothing to take things too serious about, guys.
Yeah. So, I guess right now is probably a good point to jump into our hunts for sure. So,
all right, but before we jump into that, though, let's talk about some of our partners. I think last podcast we kind of forgot to talk about Titus over there at Mid Valley Mercenary, the MVM podcast. I know they're stepping things up, and he's got a lot of content kicking out there. So if you guys enjoy what we have here, Titus at MVM is a part of the Flyways Collective, which at this point I hope that you know what that is. And if you like what we've got going on, go check out his shows, and he's got a really good product over there. Also, don't forget to come over to Facebook and join us at Fellowship of the Duck Guns, because the community continues to grow and all sorts of phenomenal conversations going on over there on Facebook.
Yep. Awesome. So now a quick word from our partners, and we'll jump back into the podcast. So, on our hunts, I guess for me, let's go. I'll go ahead and start with mine. So I got a couple hunts to talk about. Well, I guess I got a couple groups, and then you got your scouting. So we'll kind of put that in between those two. Sound good to you?
Yep, I've got a couple days of scouting. I actually went scouting 3 days. One was pretty uneventful, so I could break it into two if that's what you meant.
Okay. Yeah, we'll start with me, and then we'll jump with you in the middle. So,
okay.
All right. So first week I got going on. First thing I had going on was going up to Michigan. Michigan opens up September 1st, so it was great to kind of get a head start on the goose and teal hunting. And it was just for me, it was finding which one I was gonna do, and got invited out by Kevin. So went up there and hunted up with them. But we had. And he doesn't even know this yet, so if he's listening or watching this, then he'll find out now. But I had a little bit of an what's the right word for it? Unfortunate situation that came from that. So the way we hunted was actually in the HDRA frame blinds. And so when I got there, pitch black in the woods, and we're brushing it in. So it turned out I was brushing the blind with poison ivy leaves.
Here we go. I cannot even believe I forgot about this. We talked about it today, and I totally forgot about it.
Oh my gosh. So you didn't just egg it on all the time. But here we are.
I would have brought it up with Josh. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I was saying, go on.
Yeah. So, anyways, I didn't know it at the time. I did. So later on, I did. Like I walked over to where we were brushing, and I'm like, man, there's poison ivy in there. Let's just hope I didn't touch any of it. And so now, the bad part is it's like all in the blind. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way to get it off without like contracting it again, or every time I go duck hunting out of the
you brush the entire blind with poison ivy.
It's not as bad as it was. Mostly tall grass, but there was like poison ivy vines going through it, or like plants, and it's just pitch black, and so you can't really tell. You're just grabbing clumps and going as fast as you can because you're kind of racing till shooting light. So I'm in there, I'm just grabbing like pulling out handfuls of weeds and mixed in with poison ivy, of course. So yeah, so to kind of we'll get to the rest of the hunt later, but to jump back to the poison ivy, so I got it, like, I don't know if you can tell, Elliot, but I got it like on my forehead, and it's like behind my ears. Like right now it's like burning from the headphones, and it's like
I can't see it at all.
Okay, well, it's there. You're just gonna have to trust me,
Yeah, I trust you.
I'm touching it, but anyways, yeah, it's I got like little spots on my nose, like behind my ears. It's like around my neck, and like but I was wearing gloves. I think that's one thing that saved me. But when you're doing that, and like I said, it's still pretty warm, and so I was working up a sweat. You have these gloves on, you're kind of wiping the sweat off your head, But yeah, so ended up getting it all over me. And
So where did you get it?
yeah. Well, it's on my balls again.
Oh my gosh.
I know. So actually,
I have so much to say. I've got so much to say.
well, okay. So you might, I know you have so much to say, but you might wonder how that happens, right? Well, anyways,
I think I've got a pretty good idea of how it happens.
I get there from a 2-hour drive. We brush in the blind, and then the first thing I do is go pee in the woods after that. So it's just, oh, I cannot believe it. So when that started, that was the first thing that, showed signs of there being something not right with me. And then, soon after that, patches just showing up everywhere. But yeah. But don't worry, you're not the only one that laughed. So I went to the doctor today to get my steroid shot, and when I told him that, it was actually the nurse, because they ask you like, "Oh, where's it at?" I'm like, "Well, it's on my face, it's on my eyelid. I got like a little bit right here," and it's like, and I'm like, and it's and downstairs, and like she's like, "I know I shouldn't be, but I'm laughing." I'm like thanks. So, yeah, I got the steroid shot now, so I should be good, right?
I have personally never met anyone that's got poison ivy on their balls, but I certainly have not anyone that's gotten poison ivy on their balls twice within a 2-month period of time.
Oh, man.
That's a streak. One has to ask themselves, how often do you have your hands down your pants?
Well, every time I pee.
You seem to. When you come here to Kansas, I'm just going to kind of keep an eye out to how many times your hands are down your pants.
All right.
See, it's like,
we're gonna have to edit all this out or something.
Because you're getting poison ivy down there a lot.
Trust me, it's not by choice.
That's great to be immune to poison ivy, I gotta say.
Yeah, I guess it's yeah. But yeah. So that's the unfortunate part of the hunt, all things considered. But yeah.
I think that was my highlight of your hunt. That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
When you texted me you got poison ivy, I just sent a text back. It's like, on your balls again? It was like silence. I'm like, really? I was just joking. I didn't think there was any chance that had happened twice to you. Just silence. I'm like, really? Are you kidding me? Again?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the story. But yeah, so let's kind of jump back to the hunt. And so, yeah. So the hunting honestly didn't go much better. I mean, honestly, it was awesome to be back out there hunting. But we set up on this big lake, and there's a bunch of geese using it, but nothing ever flew in. It was one of those days. It rained, it poured on us, and then the geese flew out super late to feed, and then we left about 12:30, started packing up, 1 something, and we never had geese fly back in there. So it was kind of one of those things where it was not like a surefire thing, and early season geese really never is, just because they're locals, they have tons of options, they know where everything is, but they never worked in. So that was unfortunate, but that's how it goes in early season. But while we were hunting, we one of Kevin's buddies called him up and told him, hey, we got this field, and same thing, he was out hunting with his 2 kids, and he's hunting with his 2 kids out in a wheat field that just got picked, and they had geese kind of dumping in on them. They shot 3 of them, and 1 of them was banded, so pretty cool experience for him and his kids. But the other thing with that, they left because of the rain. So his 2 kids, 10 and 8, with the rain and all that, it was kind of a little much for them. So they left about 8:30. But he said, like, the geese were still piling in on him while they're trying to pack up and get out of there. So he's like, hey, we should go back and hunt this tomorrow. And I'm like, man, that does sound pretty promising. So I ended up making the drive back out there. And so it was like 2 mornings in a row I got up at 3, which I know, Elliot, you get up at midnight or whatever all the time for your hunting. But, we went out there for the second day out in this picked wheat field. But there's tons of wildlife out there. We had deer out there. There was some sandhill cranes, there was just crows, everything feeding on there, dove, turkey flying out of the trees. So it was just like an awesome field to be in with all the wildlife kind of going through there. And we even, so the way the hunt went was we had a group come in, and it was super bright bluebird day, and then it switched to foggy, which was super weird. Fog rolled in, and then it went back to super bright bluebird day, which from my experience hunting geese, they don't fly in either of those conditions. They like to sit on the roost for a lot longer. So we ended up hunting till, I don't know, it was 10:30, 11 o'clock, and we just had one group come in. The short stopped us at 80 yards, and then we waited about 30, 40 minutes, decided to spook them off and clear it for other birds. And right when we decided to do that, we had another flock of geese come up, and I don't know if they saw us for sure or not, but they never worked in the field, so I think they might have. Or either that or they just followed all the birds that were leaving. So, but yeah, it was definitely cool to be out there, but, I definitely want to get on some birds here soon.
Yeah, I just watched when I got home from work today. I watched your video and I really, really enjoyed it. I like the little music interlude you had in there, and sometimes those hunts that are slow or you don't do well are still you can transfer a very peaceful feel in a video to allow the viewer to experience those moments that we've all had where you're out there, you're having a good time. I saw people were cooking things in the blind at some point, and you're seeing this wildlife. And even though that you're not, that's the moment in which I think defines you is, like, I'm not a kill dependent hunter. I can still enjoy this. I can still have a good time. Sure, I'm disappointed that we didn't have success because that's what we're doing, but there's so much still to be gained from a hunt like that where you're just soaking it all in and you're actually hunting for the first weekend since February, and I
Yeah.
thought you did a great job of translating the whole experience of that hunt.
Well, thank you. I think I should have brought binoculars though, because there was so much wildlife to look at,
Yeah.
which is always a plus. Just kind of being in that stuff and around it, and as duck hunters, a lot of times, just like you said, people think that for us it's all about killing animals and all that, but it's really not. It's definitely part of hunting, but it's not end all be all for sure.
Yeah, no, we certainly want to be successful. We work really hard at it and everything, but can you still enjoy yourself when you're not successful? And I think the answer for both of us is yes. I know for me, when it starts dragging on and it's hunt after hunt after hunt after hunt, certainly I get discouraged and frustrated because we want to have success, but there's a lot of wonderful experiences to be had that have nothing to do with pull the trigger.
Yep. So, I guess, yeah, let's go ahead and hit on what you got going on for your scouting. For me, this is kind of like a little update into what I'm going to see coming up here soon. So what you have in store? What did you find out with your scouting?
Well, let's start off by my just communication scouting, because where you're going to be hunting, I can't physically scout now. It's out west, and I'm in communication with Golden Boy who's scouting, and the area manager biologist. He's a friend of mine. I'm in contact with him, and during the summer I was really really worried about the teal season because I was just like, man, they had literally like 10 floods at this marsh. Now these marshes don't hold water. That's the difference between a marsh and like a reservoir. Where we're going to be hunting is just a marsh complex, so they don't hold water. Where a reservoir, there's so much water there that they have to end up holding it, because if they let it go, then it goes down the rivers and creates havoc. So they have to hold it. But at marshes, the floods come through and leave pretty quick. And I was extremely concerned by the amount of flooding that they were having, where we're going to be hunting on the opener, but slowly the reports are getting better and better and better and better, and to the point now where the conditions are every bit as good as they were last year. And we absolutely had the teal season of our life. And considering what the surrounding areas of the state are going to be, I fully anticipate there being a lot of birds to kill there. Now, from now until, in fact, I'm gonna look it up again while I'm right here on the weather again, because right now, which is really fun, I'm getting to look at the 10-day forecast and starting to look in towards our hunt weekend, and there are not very many. We've got a lot of heat from now till then, and not much north wind days. So I'm a little concerned about that. However, I would say even if we were to hunt down there, we could go there right now and have a good hunt by the number of birds that they have there. But I certainly would like. They're saying about 500 birds down there, and I'd like to see about 2 to 3 to 5,000. But everything's looking great, and I fully anticipate us to have a great weekend with our wives because they're coming with us to the lodge, and then a great both day great hunting as well. So I think the stage is set for us to do really really well.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah. What I know I've asked this before. What time approximately are you and the wife planning on? Or about midday?
Yeah, I think so. Probably.
Yeah.
It might be a little later than that, but yeah, it just
The
depends.
earlier the better. I'm gonna try to hit there around noon. You know, if you could hit there between noon and 1:30 would be great because that would allow us a couple hours of scouting, but yet didn't be able to get home and because we want to have a nice dinner with the wives and stuff. So
Yep.
that would be great. So, but I think it's gonna be just phenomenal. Now, this past weekend, I was trying to put on a dove hunt Sunday on the opener Sunday evening, and I had been in contact with my farmer friend the Heim, who's pretty much a superhero in my mind. I mean, this guy's just a stud, and he's like, well. But he doesn't exactly hunt. So he told me he was going out of town, but he told me where to go scout on his farm. And I went out there and scouted Friday night, and it was just like, I'm not hunting this. It's like completely worthless, basically. So the dove hunt was over, and I decided to scout. So now I'm really at this point scouting for the second weekend of teal season. First weekend we're going out there west. Second weekend I'm going to stay here around my local areas. And like I was mentioning, the reservoirs versus the marshes, where I teal hunt around here are marshes on a reservoir. So for those of you that are not familiar, here in this state, we have a lot of man-made reservoirs, and they built these reservoirs from like the teens up until the last one was 1985 here in the state, and they're just trying to control water and create recreational sources. So they want to be able to control flooding on the Kansas and the Missouri River. So most of our marshes here around reservoirs are on the upside of the lake as the river flows in. Because what happens is you've got an inflow river that goes into the reservoir, and a lot of the area upstream is dry. But then, as the reservoir gets filled with rainwater, a lot of these marshes fill. And they will also put in pumping systems to fill some of these areas. So you just have a lot of marshes in that area. And they're really, really good here in Kansas of planting millet and sometimes corn, and so they try to get as much duck food during the off season as they possibly can by draining these marshes after the northward migration, planting them, and then slowly flooding them. And it's really really important how they flood these things. You can't just flood a marsh. It's got to be in stages because seeds come out at certain times, and depending on how much water you raise, it'll grab the seeds and release them into the water. So there's a whole science to when and how you flood a marsh. Well, early May, I'm sure you guys all heard about the floods up in Nebraska, and Kansas didn't get as much publicity for them, but the Missouri River and the Kansas River have been completely inundated with floodwater since right on early May. And our reservoirs around here have been anywhere between 10 to 20 foot high since May 1st. So there's all of the marshes right now are under, I'd say, 7, 8, 9 feet of water. So there's absolutely no duck food. Everything you can't even scout. I mean, even scouting is really, really hard around these reservoirs because you go out there and there is water everywhere. So even if you scout right now they're dumping water out. So in 2 weeks, we could lose 5, 6 feet, and your entire scout is just worthless. So, I mean, the duck season right now here, not just in this part of the state, pretty much throughout the entire state, is really something I've never ever dealt with before. So, like I said, even knowing how to scout is an issue. But my dad went out, and there's several marshes around that are not quite as close to the lake as possible that have not been affected as much as some of the other marshes. So we got out there and did a bunch of walking around. My dad and I did, and we found one marsh we were really happy with. Has lots of smart wheat in it, lots of seed production. But the problem with that marsh is it's like it's not that hidden, and everyone else can find it too. So I'm anticipating there's just going to be an overabundance of people there. But it was a beautiful marsh, lots of seed plants in it. I found a second marsh that I scouted, and you know it looked okay, but there's no seed bearing plants or anything. So honestly, like I was saying on the last podcast, I'm really scared of for November here in the state, at least this side of the state. Not the Flyways Collective thing is going to be out west, and I feel very confident in that area. But I don't know what to expect. I think November is going to be really difficult. It's going to be something that we've never experienced. I've never seen any of these lakes be in flood stage for we're going to be pushing half a year
Mm.
where with this kind of flooding. So I don't know. I have no idea what the season's going to bring. It's going to be interesting for sure. But it was fun. It was great to get out in the marsh and just float around in the kayaks, and I had a fantastic time doing it.
Yeah, that's good. So, I mean, at least you found at least leads to kind of help guide you. I know everything's probably going to change as soon as season starts and guns start being shot, the birds change their pattern. But as long as you kind of know which marshes and all that are kind of holding the food and where you can hopefully find them, then you should be in good, at least a head start.
Yeah, we found that one pool that looks great. I was surprised we even found that. And there are some areas that are a little bit harder to get to with the kayak and everything. So right now, as far as the second week in the teal season, the plan is probably just a blind hunt, just a hunt blind. By that I mean without any further scouting, just go out and do it. Because at worst case scenario, it's a beautiful place. It's going to be a beautiful sunrise. I'm going to be drinking coffee. I'm going to be off probably the week after two fantastic hunts with you and Ben is what I feel like we'll have. So I'll have fun no matter. And I was talking to my friend about this the other day, and this is a bad part of all the videos and the making content and everything. Before I started FDH, I was to the point in my hunting career where I wasn't even really I work way harder now at finding ducks than I did before I was filming because there's for the content and everything, it's so much more important to be successful. But before FDH started, I was to the point where I was just enjoying it. I mean, now if I went lots of hunts in a row without shooting ducks, I would start getting bummed out. But on a hunt to hunt basis, I was truly just soaking up the experience and really not worrying about what we shot and didn't shoot. And now there's with the podcast there's so much more pressure now, and it's certainly a downside of it, and it's something that I'm trying to just shrug off. But it's important for everything I've got going that we have a decent amount of success, and with that I've kind of regressed on the hunting stages a little bit. you know
Yeah. Well, I think, yeah, no, it's definitely an interesting way to look at it too, for sure. But you can definitely tell we're on different stages on the hunting chart. I've been doing it a lot less, as far as time goes. You've been doing it for 27 years, is what you said,
yeah.
right? And I've been doing it for, this is my fourth season, I believe. So, a big difference there as far as, that. And I'm almost on the opposite, where all I want to do is find the birds. And but it's not the biggest thing. I think we're similar once we get on the hunts, but as far as, I do want to find the birds.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really what it's about. And I think part of it is, I mean, after you've pulled the trigger X amount of times and you've seen birds drop X amount of times that it's hard to say this because I get so excited when I'm killing birds. I feel myself saying something like, "Hold on, I don't get me wrong, I am so driven to see, shoot, and harvest ducks that certainly that is very important to me. There's no doubt about it because I just love it so much. And when I'm on a hunt where it doesn't look like it's gonna be very good, and then all of a sudden things start changing. Have you ever been on a hunt like that where you're kind of like, man, this isn't going very well, and then all of a sudden it's like maybe you'll find the birds or they just start doing it the way you want to. The excitement that I get inside is almost overwhelming. So I can't
Yep.
misportray my emotions because they're very intense and strong
Yeah.
around success for sure.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. You talking about that made me think of something that's kind of related, but not exactly. But I just kind of wanted to share it, and I want to see if I can find his first name real quick. But I think you probably saw it today too. But he tagged us both, and along with some other people as well. But I want to find his first name real quick. But he doesn't have his name on there anyway. But there's a fella, and he just got into waterfowling. He's a new waterfowl hunter, and his story was last year he went out and he didn't even kill a single bird. And so he's been watching the videos, watching or listening to the podcast, and he's been paying attention to a couple other ones as well. But it's just really cool to see because he said through the scouting and learning from the videos and the YouTube and stuff that he was able this week to shoot his first duck ever. It was a blue-winged teal. So, just a really cool story. And, hearing little stories like that and kind of being able to reflect on myself. And it wasn't really that long ago. I was in a similar situation, 11 hunts until I got my first bird. Doing it on my own, and he's the same way. He didn't have anybody to teach him. He's just learning from YouTube and from podcast. So it's just a really cool story. Did you see that as well, Elliot?
Yes, I did. That was wonderful.
Can't.
That's a great part of that whole community.
Yeah, and we always sometimes we say this. There's the negatives about social media, but him being able to share that with us, that honestly just made my day to hear a story like that, and kind of reminded me of. Going out there on my first duck and like kind of having flashback memories of it falling through the trees after I shot it and landing right next to me. And, I'm sure there was a lot of excitement in his story when he, or in his hunt when he got that first bird. So,
Yeah.
so
I cannot remember my first clean kill duck. I cannot remember it.
really, I remember the first two. I don't know if I've ever told that the other part of the story. Which getting on, it was like the 10th hunt out of 11, and actually I'm not sure who shot it. Me and one of my buddies went on the hunt. It's actually he went on the second hunt with me as well, but it was his first hunts too, and we had a flock of mallards come in, and we're both using both of my shotguns, had the Satori under over and the A5, and this flock comes in, about 7 of them, these green heads, and it just almost looks like an alien creature. You're not used to seeing them or watching them cup right in, but they just cupped right in there, and pop, we all shot and fell in the river. And Chief was a little 6-month-old dog and had almost zero training. I'm like, Chief, jump in there and get it. He's like, what? And so he didn't, and the boat, we didn't have a boat or anything. You can see how unprepared and I guess ill-prepared we were to think that somehow we'd be able to retrieve this duck. And even to this day, it'd been a hard retrieve for a veteran dog because it was in swift current on a river. And we shot it down, and it was winged or wounded, and pretty unfortunate. But yeah, that'd be the first duck that I was a part of being shot. And I don't know if I shot it or my buddy. I kind of think my buddy shot it. Just because I didn't see it fall. But the next day was when I shot my first duck, and it fell right through the trees and landed right next to me. So a little off topic.
What was it?
Mallard. They
Nice.
both were mallards, but green head. We actually it just had a flock. They came over. They didn't even really decoy in. It was a passing shot. Passed overhead at like 20 yards, and yeah, pretty cool.
So a little different topic. Did you try the band? Were you wearing the banded waders your first hunt there?
No, because we're not really getting in the water at all. Didn't need to.
Oh, you didn't have your waders on at all?
Probably should have though. It downpoured. I would have stayed dry.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I wore my banded. What are they called? 2.0. Give me the name of them.
Yeah,
Red Zone 2.0. Red Zone 2.0. I wore them scouting all weekend. It was hot, and man, I've always just worn neoprene. I did have a pair of some lighter ones a few years ago, but pretty much I've always worn neoprene, and those things are so comfortable. You can just like Chris Jobman from Flatland was just talking about how they'll just put on at the beginning of the morning and wear them into Walmart and stuff. And I totally get it now. I mean, they're comfortable like just a pair of coveralls. They are so comfortable, man.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely agree.
No, I heard online that they were saying that the boots are too small. And the things that people don't understand, it's not the boots are too small. The boots are actually made
It's
like
your feet are
regular
too big.
boots. No, but the boots are actually like normally you get neoprene waders and you get like size 11 or 12 and they're like have these huge, massive clown shoes on your feet, right?
Yeah.
Well, these are actually form fitted, so it's like putting on a boot. So when you're used to normally putting on waders, your feet slide right into them, right? The problem with that is your feet also come right out when you're in mud. Where these banded boots, you have to actually pull them on because they kind of fit you like actual boots.
Yeah.
And I'm in love with them so far. They were so comfortable, and man, I'm thrilled about them.
Yeah, and I haven't had as much experience yet. I've tried them on, obviously, but these next hunts I will be for sure. So
Yeah, I had them on 3 days in a row for all three scouts. I guess I should talk about my third scout. I'm so I don't know if I've told you. I'm hunting the Missouri opener this week,
all right.
and I was contacted by a friend of mine. He's like, a couple weeks ago, he's like, I scouted this place out. He sent me a picture. He's like, there's teal in there. Let's go scout it on Memorial Day and see what's going on. So we got out there and scouted it, and we'd had a bunch of rain, and it had gone from like ankle deep to waist deep water. So there was no teal in there at all. We spent so we were driving around half the day on Saturday looking for other places to possibly teal hunt. Didn't see a single teal all morning, and so that's why I've been telling you. It's like I fully anticipate my first hunt of the year to be a skunk. I would be surprised if I pulled the trigger, honestly, because
Well,
I just think it's gonna be terrible.
well, hopefully you're pleasantly surprised then.
Well, I'm almost thinking about not even buying a Missouri license and just going and filming it. I mean, it's like 80 to $100, and I'm
Oh
like,
well.
maybe I should just go and film. He's got his gun. I'll film. I don't know if that's the best chance of him having success is me not buying a license and then going because then you
Yeah.
know it's going to be good because I'm not going to be able to shoot. But I don't know. It's going to be fun regardless, and I'm learning some Missouri spots. But so yeah, I had my banded waders on Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
My opinion is you
3 days.
should just get the license. It'll open you like you're not like you. It opens up some doors for different
Yeah.
opportunities for you if you just have
Yeah.
it and you won't even consider it later in the season.
Yeah, you're probably right, and he's showing me some Missouri areas I didn't know about, and we've
And
already talked
then
about it.
you can drive all the way up to the northeast corner of Missouri, and I'll drive there too, and we'll meet in the middle and have
I wonder how far that is for you.
we could get a Missouri skunk.
I wonder how I'm really not that far from the far northeast corner of or did you say northeast? Is that what you said or northwest?
I said northeast, yeah.
Oh, northeast. Yeah, yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how much that would do, but 3 hours makes a big difference for me going from
yeah, for
8 to 5. You can do that in the evening.
Just put the word out and see if we can get someone to help us out.
I think you just did.
Yeah. Yeah, I've kind of put some feelers out for this coming weekend. I like contacted guys like, yeah, you went to Nebraska. I was like, you got anything going on up there for this weekend? I don't know.
Nice.
It's gonna be rough, man. But I'm gonna be hunting. That's all I know. I'm gonna be hunting.
Yep, definitely out there and ready to go. So, I guess I'll share real quick. I went out for some dove actually. I got so bummed out from not shooting anything opener. I'm like, I'm not gonna get skunked, and so I went out and shot a few dove opener out at a little farm. But man, so there's a little bit more of the story. So the day before, I went out like any good hunter should do, and pattern out some ammo. And so I was patterning out boss shot shell, went through my chokes, got done, patterned great, and then go out to goose hunt, and then I got back from that, didn't fire a shot, but then I went for dove. Anyways, like I walked through this field, and there's just dove everywhere, right? And I got out there pretty late just because by the time I got home and showered and dressed again and ready to go, it was kind of late into the evening. But anyways, I walked through the field and I'm just like busting dove up everywhere. It's So it's like perfect, right? And I get out there and I set up the mojo and I set up the doves and and like the first few flying, I mean, they literally were like landing and in the set, like you couldn't ask for it better. But I couldn't hit a stinking shot, and I was getting
no.
I was getting so frustrated. Well, about halfway through that, after I was like, I don't even know. Like, it's embarrassing to say, but I don't even know how many shots I was in. But I realized that when I patterned my shotgun, I never switched out my choke. And like I'm like you, I keep modified in, like exclusively, just don't change it. So I don't even think about it. But I left my full choke in, so I literally have dove like hovering over the mojo at 7 yards, and I have this full choke in. It's just like,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. So that was pretty frustrating. And so sure enough, switch out my choke, first shot, bam, dead dove. I'm like, okay. And so yeah, I had a few fly in there, and after that, and I did pretty okay on my shooting. I think I missed one or two after that, but it was just frustrating that was the reason why.
So were you using the sixes, Boss sixes?
Yeah.
Steel, right? Or steel, bismuth.
Yep.
They make any. That's all they make is bismuth, right?
That's what they currently.
Yeah,
Honestly, it's
yeah,
way
yeah.
overkill for Dove, and I probably won't use any more for Dove than it's
How did your patterning go? What did you only pattern with modified or full? What did you learn
no,
with
no.
the
I patterned
patterning?
all the chokes at 30 yards, and I did it for that and the Satori. So I haven't like done the numbers. All I could do is I need to go and count them up and stuff. But I was able to see kind of what was hitting and in the circle.
And what was your takeaway just from your first impression without really looking at it?
I mean, it looked good. So as far as like pattern
What
density and
modified looked better than a full or what?
well, I mean, obviously in like a 30-inch circle, the most is full for sure because it's tight, the tightest pattern. But then beyond that, they didn't all hit in the 30-inch circle like when I did improved modified and modified.
Well,
It
hold
was
on, wait. Hold on. What distances were you doing? Back up a little.
at
What
30 yards.
30 yards? Because I mean, at 30 yards, an improved should have a better distribution than a full should. At 30
I mean, it
yards.
was wider than 30 inch circle,
Okay.
if that makes
So
sense.
yeah. So in the 30-inch circle at 30 yards, the full looked better than the modified.
Yeah, yeah. As far
Because
as like
with steel that wouldn't be the case. That shouldn't be the case.
I would have to do side by side comparisons, but no, just to kind of give it like the brief overview. Again, not counting the pellets, but at first glance, it would look like in the 30-inch circle that that there's more pellets in a full choke than modified because it's spread further apart, so it spreads out further than 30 inches. If that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But it shouldn't. I mean, steel wouldn't. Steel would be with a modified. Steel would be pretty much at its best between about 25 and 35, I believe, is
Yeah.
where a modified would be at its very
Yeah.
best.
No, I definitely would like to do side by side and kind of compare it for my own sake because I don't want to take anybody else's word for it. I'll just take my own. So, I think it's, yeah, if I can do a side by side comparison and do the same thing, 3-inch number fours with steel and kind of see what the pattern looks like to see the difference. Because I guess I don't, it's kind of too early for my own testing to know exactly what's going to look like what right now. All I know is kind of just what I shot on that day as far as,
Yeah.
and I don't have a side by side with the steel yet.
Yeah, because that's what everyone's saying with these heavier metals, you need to choke up more
Well,
because it
if it's
patterns out different.
softer, yeah, then it compresses more.
Softer, heavier metals.
Yeah. So then your choke, if this restricted, everything's compressed through it anyway, so it's not as tight.
Because I really want to stick with a modified, just because I just don't like the idea of shooting a full. But I mean, if I get out and I know when Dan and I did patterning with we did federal versus one of the heavy metals. I don't remember. I think it was heavy metal. And we tried to compare the two. And at that point, I did not realize that there was this issue with heavier types of metals to where it's more than just a flyer or two. It's like the entire radius spreads out faster with these heavier metals because of all the banging that you have and dimpling of the individual shots. And so it was a head scratcher when Dan and I were doing the difference between the steel and the heavy metal because the pattern, the shot distribution was so different, and it spread out so much quicker with these heavier metals that I didn't understand it. So I really want to get some patterning tests done with this boss before I do a lot of shooting with it, because if I do need to go up to a full choke to get my ideal radius between really 20 and 35 yards is really what I want it to be at its maximum. I'd like to get that done. Maybe we can do that on that weekend that we're together somehow.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure we can probably find some time, do it after dinner or something. But yeah, definitely I need to do some more testing of myself, especially when I get my 12 gauge back from the warranty work.
Yeah.
So, kind of finish this up. I guess what plans you got coming as far as next weekend? I guess you kind of talked about it. You got your Missouri thing coming.
Going into Missouri. Yep, going into Missouri. We're hunting an area I've never been to, but we scouted it, and it's a really unique area. It's got a lot of flooded timber in it, and there's one hole in there that you cannot get to by foot because it's surrounded by deep water. So our plan is it's surrounded by timber and willows, to where he tried to get into it with a boat from the main lake and he couldn't because the willows were too thick, and you can't walk to it from the other direction. So our plan is to try the Teal in the morning. If there's just nothing flying, then we're going to turn it into a scouting trip, and we're going to take our kayaks and dig in there and really find this hole and do a bunch of scouting. And it'll just be fun being out there. And then from then on, I've got my big move into my new house on the 11th, and then I'll be seeing you on the 13th.
Awesome. Sounds like you got it all scheduled out, figured out what's going when. So,
yep. And from there, I'm just going to we'll have a bunch of scouting of that place done by my dad and Golden Boy, but then I certainly want to get you out and just show you around on Friday. Just show you the area.
Sweet. I'm definitely excited for that. So the only thing I got in between there is next weekend, definitely going out this coming weekend for some hunts up in Michigan again. But I have a couple options here for what I'm going to hunt. And I know what I'm going to hunt on Sunday. I've gotten invited out there by Ryan, and it's going to be... we got something going on over there, Elliot?
No, I'm sorry. I accidentally activated a YouTube video on my phone.
All right. So, so next weekend, with Sunday, I'll be going out with Ryan. He's got something scouted out in this marsh, some teal out there and some geese. So I'm excited for that hunt. And I had considered hunting that on Saturday as well. But, there is a chance that I might hunt with Kevin on Saturday again. He texted me today and said they had a field that they'd been seeing some birds work in. So I kind of have some options going in, but I do know that I will be going up there. And I think I'm going to camp too over the weekend, because I'm going far enough up there that it's, quite a haul back. So, yeah, should be good. Either way, I'm excited to get out there and keep hammering and grinding after the birds. So,
yep.
It's here. It's here for sure. Fall's here. Season's here. Just need it to cool down a little bit and get some birds in the set, and we'll be all good to go. So, any last words?
Nope. I'm ready for it all to start. I'm tired of waiting. I'm just ready. I'm ready to get into this new house of mine, get all that done, and get season going, and I'm just ready to go, man.
Awesome. All right, well, that's all we got for this week. Thanks again for joining us for another hunt update. And just, probably to wrap this up, we got a lot of new listeners, and this is a little bit different than our regular format. Honestly, this should have been at the beginning, but our hunt update series, we're going to do this once a week. We're going to talk you through all of our hunts, the woes, the goods, the bads, everything in between. all of our hunts, and so you guys can follow along the journey, as well as we film them all and put them up on YouTube. So anytime you see or hear anything interesting on these, feel free to jump over there and check out the videos as well. So definitely a kind of fun way to journal and talk about our hunting season all the way from start to finish. So that's all we got for today. I'm Jordan, Duck Gun Chronicles, Elliot from Freelance Duck Hunting, and we'll see you guys on the next one.